In The Lord of the Rings Online, doing the Lone Lands Deeds is a great low-requirement source of virtue XP and LOTRO points that will also boost your Eglain Reputation. In this guide, we'll cover all the deed requirements, rewards, and locations, plus a route to finish the region fast. Welcome to my Lone Lands Deeds guide. I'll be covering all aspects of the deeds, so feel free to use the timestamps below to jump to the parts that interest you. Note that while I won't be covering the individual quest routes for the region, I will be covering some great quest hubs in the map section later in the guide. That said, let's jump into the details of the deeds on offer. Like most regions in LOTRO, the Lone Lands has Explorer, Quest, and Slayer deeds, plus Meta deeds, which are wrappers for completing sets of deeds. The deeds of the Lone Lands Meta deed requires completing both the Explorer and Slayer meta deeds, as well as the final Quests deed. Note that the deeds of the Lone Lands Meta deed is also required to complete the deeds of Eriador meta deed, which awards an additional 300 motes and marks. Excluding quest rewards, completing all these deeds will reward you a total of 38,000 virtue XP, 14.9 thousand Eglain Reputation, 180 LOTRO points, 3 rejuvenation potions, 8 titles, 300 motes of enchantment, and 330 marks. Given how easy and fast these deeds can be, plus the nice amount of LOTRO points and Eglain Rep they reward, Lone Lands deeds are a very popular choice to level virtues once done with other starter regions like Ered Luin and Bree. For anyone working on the world-renowned title or just rep in general, Eglain Rep can be somewhat of a pain, so I highly recommend doing these deeds to help you on that journey too. Pursuing Kindred Eglain Rep will unlock your Return to Ostguruth skill and will also advance 4 tiers of deeds that give 5, 10, 15 and 20 LOTRO points respectively for a total of 50 bonus LOTRO points on top of the region's 180. As for requirements, getting started with Lone Lands deeds can be done from level 20 and above, but to wrap up the Explorer deed, you will need to visit locations only found in 2 of the Garth Agarwen level 32 instances, one for a 3-man fellowship and the other for a full 6-man. Because of this, if you wish to wrap up the Explorer meta deed in full, I recommend being at least level 40 to 50 for solo players, or level 30 and above if you're willing to find groups for those instances. If you are using this guide to level, starting at level 23 to 25 works well and should get you very close to 30 or above by the time you only need those locations. However, you will need to find a group to be able to finish this. Depending on the level and class of you and your fellowship, doing all Lone Lands deeds from scratch takes around 3 to 6 hours. Excluding all the quest deeds would make the run roughly 2 to 4 hours. Before we jump into the details of the various deeds, let's quickly look at a range of ways to speed up deeding in general. Slayer deed accelerators are great boosters if available, and given the Lone Lands Slayers require a fair number of enemies to be slain, some of which can be tedious due to low spawn numbers, I do recommend using the boosters if you can afford them. Run boosts are another great buff to have, with multiple options to pick from. Coffee can be made from cooks, but require level 70 plus to use. Destiny points earned from leveling up can be spent on 5% run boosts. And then there are also premium run boosts and mount speed boost consumables that can be found from Hobbit gifts and rare drops, or can be purchased from the auction house and LOTRO store. Another tip is to have a hunter in your fellowship for their Find the Path buff. Note that this is one great reason to have an alt account. Finally, milestone skills and their upgrades are very useful for traveling fast and some of the best LOTRO point purchases to make, especially when on sale. For Lone Lands deeds, having a milestone bound to Ostguruth can help save on a fair bit of running. The quest deeds are 3 tiers: base, advanced, and final, requiring 15, 30, and 45 total Lone Lands quests to have been completed. Luckily, the Lone Lands has a ton of quests with many that can be completed at the same time, which we will look at in more detail in the map section later in the guide. Both the base and advanced deeds award 2000 virtue XP and 10 LOTRO points each, while the final is worth 4015 points. For rep rewards, the quests themselves will form the bulk of the reputation earned, but the base deed gives a bonus of 300, advanced 500, and final 700. Excluding the quest rewards, finishing all 3 tiers therefore gives a total reward of 8000 virtue XP, 1,500 Eglain Reputation, and 35 LOTRO points. Looking at the Slayer deeds, there are 8 enemy types that must be defeated for the Slayer of the Lone Lands meta deed. Bog Lurkers, Crebain, Goblins, Orcs, Spiders, Trolls, Wargs, and Wights. Half of these deeds require 60 enemies for their base tier and 120 more to complete advanced. Wargs and Crebain require slightly less with 50 for base tiers and 100 more for advanced. Trolls even less with 40 and 80 required for base and advanced respectively, which leaves Bog Lurkers, which, despite the lowest required amount of 30 for base and 60 more for advanced, is easily the most tedious Slayer of the region, even when using the fast trick for them that I cover later in the guide. Each of the base deeds award a title, 5 LOTRO points and 500 Eglain Rep, while the advanced tiers each award an additional 10 LOTRO points, 700 Eglain Rep, and 2000 Virtue XP. Completing all the base deeds would therefore earn you 40 LOTRO points and 4000 Eglain Rep, while also doing all the advanced would earn a total of 120 LOTRO points, 7,500 Eglain Rep, and 18,000 Virtue XP. On top of this, each Goblin, Orc, and Wight slain in the Lone Lands earns an additional 16 Eglain Rep if they are normal mobs, 24 if they are signature, and even more if they are elite, like the Wights in Garth Agarwen. This results in up to 8,640 extra Eglain Rep if starting all 3 Slayers from scratch and only slaying normal mobs, or even more if including signatures and elites. As for the exploration and lore meta deed, like Ered Luin, the Lone Lands only has 4 explorer deeds, so only places to visit and no need to use any objects. Defenses of the Lone Lands involves ruins scattered around the region, while the other 3 explorer deeds are linked to specific sub-areas within, namely Weathertop, Garth Agarwen, and the Grimfens. The Ruins Explorer also has the most places to visit, with 9 in total, while the Grimfens has the least, only requiring 2 places, with Weathertop and Garth Agarwen requiring 4 and 6 locations. Each deed awards 2000 Virtue XP, 500 Eglain Rep, with 3 of the 4 also giving 5 LOTRO points, and Garth Agarwen Exploration awarding 10. Completing the meta deed awards a bonus of 900 Eglain Rep, 2000 Virtue XP, 3 Rejuvenation Potions, and 100 Marks, giving a total of 25 LOTRO points, 2,900 Eglain Reputation, and 10,000 Virtue XP. In the next sections of the guide, we will be looking at a range of maps that show quest hubs and required exploration points, as well as optimal Slayer areas. If you consider maps of that nature a spoiler, then I hope the details already covered have proven informative and helpful, and would appreciate a like and subscribe if they did. As mentioned earlier, the Lone Lands has some amazing quest hubs with many quests that can be done at the same time, making the 45 quests quite easy to achieve. The quests range from level 22 up to 32, with the Forsaken Inn at the west edge of the Lone Lands being the region's entry point. For the most part, the further east you go in the region, the higher the level of the enemies and the quests become. As for the quest hubs themselves, the Forsaken Inn has a ton of level 22 to 24 quests that will help progress Goblin, Orc, Warg, and Crebain Slayers. Quick tip, Doing Missing Supply Cart from Anlaf first will unlock 3 more quests that can be done at the same time as several of the others available from the start. Wrapping up the inn quests will also connect you to the Eglain camp, which is a decent quest hub with a range of level 24 to 25 quests that focus on slaying goblins, spiders, and wargs. Lower level solo players, be advised that there are some signature enemies involved with these quests, so they are somewhat tougher. Continuing east, Eorvinas has some quick level 25 to 26 quests that can help slightly with Orc Slayer, and then Ostguruth to the northeast offers a ton of quests ranging from level 26 all the way to 30 that will help with Warg, Spider, Orc, and Bog Lurker Slayers. Even further east, the Scout camp at Dolveig has a cluster of level 28 to 29 quests that will help with White Slayer. After several Ostguruth quests, you get to pick up some level 29 quests at Tornstones, just south of Ostguruth, which will focus on troll slaying. Lower level solo players, be advised that these trolls are also signature mobs, so try not to overpull and watch the patrols. Further south, Ostheier also has a cluster of level 29 to 30 quests on offer, most of which take place in white-infested ruins. Note that there are also 3 repeatable bounties here, which can be great for anyone looking to unlock some crafting recipes. Finally, north of Ostguruth lies Barad Dorn, which offers a ton of level 30 to 32 solo, small fellowship, and full fellowship quests for both Agamar and the Garth Agarwen instances. These quests will greatly boost your White Slayer while also contributing to Bog Lurker Slayer. As for the enemies required by the Slayer deeds, many of them have several viable farming locations. Bog Lurker Slayer, as mentioned previously, is the region's most tedious. The lurkers spawn stealthed and scattered between several other aggressive enemies around the pools of northwest Agamar. Having a hunter to track them can significantly speed up the process, but my preferred and recommended option is to rather farm the lurkers in the Garth Agarwen Arboretum instance, which do count towards the deed and has a lot denser spawns than those in Agamar. Once you clear the instance of lurkers, simply abandon it, then start a different instance, enter and abandon it, before starting another Arboretum instance. Doing this will reset the Arboretum instance without having to complete it or wait on its timeout and allow you to rapidly farm lurkers. Kraban Slayer has a couple of decent spots, but both will easily have you waiting on spawns. Because of this, I recommend slaying any Crabane you encounter while slaying other mobs to help boost your progress. And if you do want to just power farm them, I recommend the Roost southwest of Eorvinas due to its spawn amount. Goblin Slayer is one of the region's easiest due to the huge number of goblins in Minas Eril, not to mention the large goblin camps just north of it. Orc Slayer is also super easy. Glumhallow in the northwest is a large lower level camp, and there are tons more slightly higher level orcs at Ostcern, which is just to the south and slightly west of Ostguruth. Spider Slayer is another easy one, with 2 real options for places to farm. Minas Eril has a whole network of paths filled with them, though be advised, these are signature mobs and there are stealthed ones too, so be careful if you are a lower level. But the faster and generally very popular option is Amon Ross, just west of Ostguruth. Troll Slayer used to be somewhat tedious, but there is now a near endless supply of trolls in East Harlog. However, since they are signature mobs, they can take a bit longer for on-level players. Warg Slayer is without a doubt the second most tedious slayer of the region after Bog Lurkers. There are 3 places that have a small amount of wargs together, the largest group being on a rocky outcrop between the Great East Road and the Crabane Roost. My recommendation is to try check in on the warg spawns in Minas Eril frequently while working on the Goblin Slayer there, and try check in on the larger group at the rocky outcrop frequently while working on Spider, Crabane, and Orc Slayers in Nain Enid. Finally, White Slayer has 2 very good options. There are tons of whites in Nandelu west of Ostguruth, and the area is large enough that running loops through it should minimize having to wait on spawns or even prevent it entirely. However, if you are a higher level or in a group, then farming the whites in the Garth, Agarwen barrows and fortress instances will earn you a ton more rep in the process, since several of the whites inside are signature or even elite, therefore awarding higher rep when slain. For the Explorer deeds, there are a total of 21 locations to discover. The Fences of the Lone Lands is the largest, requiring you to visit the 9 ruins that stretch along the southwestern edge towards the middle of the region. Barlakiand and Ostladen are within Minas Eril. Then the Lornspan east of it leads to Mithranost, and even further east lies Thandrabal and Ostcern. Ostguruth is the central Lone Lands quest and travel hub, with Amon-Ros and Nerost to the west. Weathertop exploration is the second easiest of the explorers, with all 4 locations being close to each other. Weatherfoot is the goblin camp in the southwest, and Glamhallow is the orc camp further up the hills to the north. Echad Sul is the small camp just north of Weathertop, and to discover Weathertop itself, you will need to reach its top. I recommend using the following sneaky route near Candaith's camp to do so quickly. The Grimfens is undoubtedly the easiest explorer, with the mere 2 locations it requires, both located in the southeast section of the region. Osthaer is the quest hub in the area, and Nindor lies just to the west within some ruins. It is somewhat tucked away, with the entrance being this gap in the wall. Finally, Garth Agarwen exploration, as mentioned earlier, has 3 locations tucked away inside level 32 instances. The other 3 locations are relatively simple to reach, with the Circle of Blood and Nandelu both within Haragmar to the east of Ostguruth, and the outer gates being northeast of Agamar. Note that to get inside Agamar you will need to travel through the Red Pass, just north of the Circle of Blood. For the 3 instance locations, I've created these custom maps. Let's start with Ivar's Crypt. Once inside the Garth Agarwen Barrows instance, follow the path in this zigzag south and north, clearing the enemies along the way. Once at the gate, run inside to have a bunch of crawlers drop from above. After clearing them, the gate will open. Proceed through it, then turn right to head through the small building to the south. Again clearing enemies as you go, before heading northeast to go clear the first required boss. Once cleared, the second gatehouse we passed to the south will be open, and you can proceed east through it to reach Ivar's Crypt and start the final boss fight. Now let's look at the fortress instance locations. Once inside the Garth Agarwen fortress instance, head east up the stairs towards the first 2 bosses, clearing any of the enemies that aggro. Once cleared, continue to clear the 2 bosses, which will open the gate. Run through it, which will discover the Garth Agarwen gate. Then turn right to head south. Be aware that there is another optional boss patrolling the courtyard to the east. Follow the path along the southern edge to the stairs in the middle. Then head up them, and zigzag west to the next stairs going up, then back east to the final set leading to the Red Maid. Proceed south to discover the Spring of the Red Maid and start the final boss fight. During the fight, the Cleoth will sacrifice themselves to strengthen the Red Maid, and if you want to complete challenge mode, you will need to let all of them do that, resulting in her gaining the following 3 buffs. Also note that while she has the red shield around her, she is immune. Now let's put this all together in a complete Explorer and Slayer route. This run starts in Ostguruth, which can be swift traveled to from several stable masters, including South Bree. If not discovered, simply follow the road out of South Bree all the way east, past the Forsaken Inn and through the western Lone Lands to get there. Start by heading south out of Ostguruth and slightly west to discover Ostcern. Run through it, clearing all the orcs in range as you do, but don't stay to farm the deed yet. Proceed further west to discover Thunderbell, then continue northwest to go clear all the wargs at the rocky outcrop. Once cleared, head slightly south to also clear the Crebain Roost. We will be making several more stops here throughout the run to minimize waiting on both warg and Crebain spawns. Continue southeast, then loop back, heading west up the hill to discover Mithranost. Run west through it and across the Lornspan, then follow the path all the way to Ostladen. We are now going to be farming most of our Goblin Slayer, while also boosting our Spider and Warg Slayers. Minas Aerial has two main levels, an upper level on the hills that's covered with goblins, and a lower level, the narrow trenches through it that are filled with spiders. Start by following the route west and then south before crossing the bridge and going north around the little hill, clearing all the enemies on the way. Head halfway down the stairs to the west, then run along the wall to the north and loop around to do the same on the wall further to the west, clearing all the wargs in sight. Head back up the stairs but turn right and follow this loop to the south to clear all the goblins on these plateaus. If you want to clear some more signature goblins for better reputation rewards, you can also go clear the goblins in the camp across the easternmost bridge here. Cross the westernmost bridge and clear all the goblins on the other side, following the route to head to the entrance before running back east along the ground. Just east of the middle bridge is a winding path leading down to the spiders. Follow it down, then follow the route west before looping back east, clearing all the spiders along the way. At the split, take the left path to head out of the trenches and clear all the regular spiders along the way. This completes the loop, now again at the Warg stage from earlier. Proceed to use it to farm goblins until you only have around 30 remaining for the advanced deed. Make your way out using the same path we came in with, clearing the goblins on the way, to end up with roughly 10 to 20 remaining. Head northwest across the Great East Road to the goblin camps at Weatherfoot to discover the location while also wrapping up your Goblin Slayer deed. Next, head a little west up the hill before following it further up to the northeast until you reach Glumhallow, clearing all the orcs in your way, but not farming them yet. First we will be going to clear the nearby Crebain, so that the respawn timers can get going. Once cleared, head up this steep sneaky path to reach and discover the top of Weathertop and clear any Crebain in sight. Return down the same route, which can be tough to spot in this direction, but is right over this steep ledge. Then clear any Crebain that have respawned before proceeding to clear all the orcs at Glumhallow once. We will be wrapping up the Orc Slayer deed later, but are using all these available spawns to boost it a fair bit. Once you've done your clearing run through the camps, head east until you can head up the hill to the north to discover Echad Sul, just south of the W of the Weather Hills title on the map. Continue east and slightly south to discover Nerost, then head directly south to go clear the Wargs and Crebain from the start of the run again. After clearing them, head northeast towards Amon Ross. Continue to farm the spiders here and make sure to take the winding path up to the top at least once to discover the location for your explorer deed. I recommend revisiting the Wargs and Crebain to the southwest between loops to continue chipping away at those too. Once done with Advanced Spider Slayer, head south to Ostshern to wrap up your Orc Slayer there, again checking in on the Warg and Crebain spawns to the west from time to time. After finishing Advanced Orc Slayer, now is the time to finally go finish the Warg and Crebain Slayers using the spots to the west, this time waiting there or gathering nearby crafting nodes while they respawn. Once finally done with those, use your milestone to quickly return to Ostgarth before leaving it through the northeast exit and heading east to first discover the Circle of Blood and then Nandelu even further east. If you don't want to farm whites inside the Garth Agarwen instances, then now is the time to farm all the whites here until you've wrapped up the advanced deed. Otherwise, or once done, head back west slightly, then through the Red Pass to the north to reach Baradorn. From here, leave through the northern exit, and if you want to farm the bog lurkers outside of the Garth Agarwen instances, simply head a little northwest, then farm them around these pools until done with the advanced deed. Proceed to the northeast corner of Agamar, then even further east to discover the Garth Agarwen outer gate. Now I recommend spending some time to quickly discover all the instance-only explorer locations, and if you are using them to farm wights or lurkers too, do that now as well. To get inside, simply open your instance finder and under the non-scaling instances section, find the Garth Agarwen ones. For easy reference, here are the maps from earlier in the video where I briefly explained these routes to all 3 explorer locations. I've also included a map of the Arboretum instance here for any of you wanting to farm the bog lurkers within. Once you have discovered all 3 locations, as well as wrapped up advanced bog lurker and white slayers if doing those inside, use your milestone again to quickly return to Ostgurth. We're very close to being done now. To finish up, head southeast out of Ostgurth and further south along this tip, reaching into Harlow, then east at the bottom to reach the woods infested with trolls. Continue to farm the trolls until you have wrapped up the advanced Troll Slayer deed, finishing the Meta Slayer deed in the process. Once done, head to the southwest of the area and a little further west to discover Osthyre. Finally, to wrap up the Explorer meta deed, simply head a little further west into the ruins and through this gap in the wall to discover Nindor. Congratulations, that was a lot of time put in, but some great rewards for it. Thank you for watching my deed guide. Currently these guides take between 150 to 200 hours to create, so if you did find it helpful, I would highly appreciate a like and subscribe.